start with the recording, and we are here to work on the implementation session. So I've set aside about 90 minutes in total for this particular call. So I think that the first hour is going to be about setting up your webinar and understanding Webinar Geek and how it works, and taking the first step in setting it up. And then the next one, we're also going to talk about slide building. So these are the two things that I love to cover today. Slide building maybe is going to take about maybe 15 minutes. I'll do my best to keep it half an hour, but I want definitely to cover it because I know even some people that are not going to be able to make it here, then they can also check the replay as well. So what I want everyone to do is to make sure that you have your Webinar Geek account open in front of you. So that's the first step. And I'm going to share the screen. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you first, and then you can follow later, right? So I'm going to show you something, and then you're going to follow it. I'm going to show you something, and then you're going to do it and follow it. I'm going to show you something else, and then you're going to do and follow it. So these are the different uh, these are the different things. If you find, maybe because you're based in Germany, that is in German for you, Nicole, then you will need to check with, need to go in the settings and change language, unless you understand and speak German, because it's a bilingual software. They have things in German and they have things in English language. So what I want you to do now, first of all, is going into, when you're going to your dashboard, you're here, you're going to, you will be able to see something like this. Now, if you have not run a webinar before, there will not be a new webinar coming up, but it might be some test webinars. So the way we're going to start, first of all, is to press the button that says new webinar. That's always your starting point. You press new webinar. And once you press new webinar, in particular, if I'm going to stick with the basic account, I'm not going to cover automated or on demand. So these are not two things I'm going to cover today, because anyway, there is no point to do an automated webinar if you don't have something that is working live. Don't go into automation, otherwise you're going to automate something that is not working. So you're going always want to automate what works. So that's only why we are starting with live. So you will click live, and then you will click broadcast. In particular, if you're having the basic account, you will not have interactive session because they're part of the premium account. Interactive sessions means that people can come on the call, like it's almost like a Zoom setting. That's what interactive sessions are. Broadcast is just you, and people can interact with you on the chat. And the reason why you want that for a webinar is because even if you, the great thing about this is that people will not know how many people are attending. So when you are running a meeting or a Zoom meeting and you can see faces, if you have two people in the room or three people in the room, now you're consciously thinking about making sure that those two, three people are engaged. While if for a sales webinar, you want to go through your presentation as much as possible. It's less, there is this level of interaction and building things together that could happen in a small room. So people can still interact with you, but can interact with the chat. And also they don't know how many people they're attending, which means that you can keep going without changing your plan. You can still keep delivering that presentation without being thrown off that now you have only one person or two people showing up. And it happened multiple times, and it's more difficult to manage your energy when you have one person with now, or two people that now feels like more a one-to-one or a one-to-two calls than a one-to-many, which is what it's supposed to be. And also remember that everyone else will see the recording. So you're not delivering always your session just for the people that are live, but you're always delivering your session also for the people that are going to watch the recording. You need to have that in mind. That's why spending a lot of time chit-chatting with people or doing things that are not on point for the presentation will actually kill your replay viewers, right? So that's something for you to bear in mind. So now you will have you'll go here, so you'll put the title. That's where you will put the title of your webinar. So I'm just gonna put test one, so then I can, this is gonna be my title. And in the description, that's where you're putting your subtitle. Right, so remember that in your worksheet, you will have title and subtitle. So on the title, you put the title. On the description, you put the subtitle. I'm going to call it test 2. That's my description. And then you will put the estimated duration. You'll put the estimated duration, which is, in this case, let's say if it is 60 minutes, you'll put 60 minutes. If it is 45, it will be 45. If it is 90, you'll put 90. If you're not sure, and you say, actually, I'm not sure, it's the first time I'm running it, give yourself a bit more space. Give yourself a bit more time. So maybe if you were planning to do it 45, give yourself 60. If you were planning to do 60, maybe give yourself 90. Just because the first time you're delivering a presentation sometimes is one of these situations where you don't really know how long it's going to take you to deliver it because you have not done it yet in that format. So you can decide to put 60 minutes or 90 minutes, but just give yourself a bit of extra time. So then you're not rushing things, in particular if it is the first one. Then you're going to make sure it's public here. Dates and times, that's here. That's where you put the exact dates and times. So in this case, I'll pick the date, which might be the 13th of December, 2024 at the time. So you can see that the time you selected will be in your time zone. It tells you which time zone it is. Depending on your country, depending on where you're at right now, it will show you in which time zone. So you'll put 15, I'll do it at 4 p.m. And then the final part is to put offer replay. You enable it. You leave it enabled. Like it's good because it means that it's going to send the replay. I would want to enable everything else. Chat and replay, show and replay, accept questions. And regarding availability, you can decide if you want to give your replay a limited time for people to view it, which will increase the number of people that will view it. Because if I say you only have 3 days to watch this replay, which I can put here, 3 days available after the webinar, it means that if someone attends after 3 days or want to watch the replay after 3 days, they will not be able to do it. So automatically the software will remove the possibility for that person to watch it. Okay? And then I will not do link to a webinar series. Nothing at the moment. And then I will put my email address because if someone wants to answer a question during the replay, they can send the questions to me. And copy data. Copy data is something that will be useful in the future for you. Because let's say that you have already created a webinar and an email sequence somewhere else. What you're doing by copying data, you can basically copy all the registration page, the email sequences and everything for something that you've built before. Which that's what makes it very useful, having the software, because it means that you do the work, the setup work once. Once the setup work is done once, then you can copy the data from the previous one and just go in and update the content. Do you still have a copy of the replay as a host? Absolutely, yes. You still have a copy of the replay. So you will have a unique link after that if you want to send to someone, you can still send to someone. It's just that that person who is registered, they will not be able to watch their own replay link that they receive if they arrive later, Charlotte. So to recap, that's what I want you to do now. I want to create your first one, and then you tell me done when you're done in the chat. I need you to put down the title that you have. In the description, you put your subtitle, the language, the estimated duration, making sure it's public. You pick the date when you want to run your webinar and the time. Offer replay, you can put the availabilities for 3 days. Make sure that everything is enabled. And then the rest it is. So when you're done, then you press create and customize. Not create and publish, but create and customize, the blue button. So I'm going to keep this screen open for a bit. So Lisa, in the meanwhile, while everyone is working on it, you said that you've already created yours. How was your experience? in using it, because I know also Randall used it as well and created it.
I was very pleasantly surprised because it's so intuitive of the way that it's like takes you through step by step by step by step. And then yeah, that was super nice to do. I think it took me like less than 2 hours to set up all of this bit. And then when I got to the actual page that I want people to land on, and I was doing a little bit of design on that, like putting my own colors on and my fonts and things, and adding some details. But yeah, I think it took me like 90 minutes. So maybe that's quite a long time, but
Oh,
I
that's
thought,
that's good. I mean, in
oh,
considering,
really?
yeah, because considering that the first time you are creating something is where it's gonna take you the longest, because
Yeah,
exactly you're putting a bit of your colors, your brand, your fonts. Um, After it's done the first time, then anything else you can do copy data.
yeah, yeah. No, I really, it's yeah, I really liked it. I really liked the process of doing it. The point that I haven't got to is then the email part of it. And yeah, so that's
For
why
sure.
I
All right, we'll get there.
yeah,
We'll get there at
exactly.
some
That's
point.
why I've come today to know that. But it's super nice software.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Agnieszka?
Yeah, I'm halfway through doing the email automations, and it's also super easy. And I very much appreciate the fact that you can send each email to you to test, like with a button, so you immediately see how it displays in your Gmail, and you can find
Yeah.
mistakes. So all in all, yeah, very friendly software.
That's why I fell in love with this one. Like if there is a one, literally in 8 years of running webinars, seven years of running webinars, I never recommended the software, or because there was always something that either was missing, or well, this one is just they thought about everything, and the team is incredible. So I want them to do well as a company because I think they have the right ethos, and they're really taking into consideration the customer experience, where a lot of webinar software don't do, like a lot of software companies don't do. So that's why I enjoyed it. So how is it going for everyone? Have you created your webinar? Have you done it? Okay, if you have done it, just press done. If you need one more minute, just press what, tell me 1 more minute in the chat.
Simone, how does their prices compare with other software that you've trialed then over the
Similar prices.
7 years?
Similar prices actually, because if
Okay.
you think about it, like even Zoom webinars, that doesn't even give you all the email automation. So it's just the software. Even Zoom webinars cost you not like 50 euros a month or something like that, right? On top of your Zoom account. So you will pay
Wow.
what you're paying for Zoom, plus you're going to pay another 50 a month. And it doesn't even give you the landing pages, the thank you pages. It doesn't give you the emails. Their reporting is useless. It's like, and that's what I've used before. Um, and the other webinar software, they don't have, they're not either as easy, or they don't display the data in the way this displays it. So actually, they, to be honest, they could charge more. They could charge more for the quality of the software that it is compared to everything else that is on the market out there. That's why I'm an advocate, because I want them to do well, like because the majority are not as good. No, no, of course I'm not gonna tell them. Hell no. Hell no, no, no. This is just between us. Like it's almost like when you find someone who's really good that you know they could charge more, don't tell them they could charge more, because then you are going to be the first person they're going to charge more to. So let, let them charge more to others. You click on create and customize after you're done.
So we go ahead and press that, create
Yeah,
and custom.
yeah. Once you're done, so I'm gonna move on now. You press create and customize. When you press create and customize, so now I've moved on, people. When you press create and customize, then you will have basically this will guide you to the registration page. So through the tutorial, basically, we are going to go through the different levels of the customer journey on the webinar. So registration, the webinar itself, the webinar room, interactions, which is the interactions that can happen within the webinars, like offers, polls, and quizzes. Emails, so the email reminder and the sales emails, and then publishing it. So first of all, while you're here, you have a registration page. Now, this is where I'm going to spend the least amount of time on the creation, because that's where probably it's going to take you longer to edit your registration page. If you are a bit more techy, you already have another platform, for example, another landing page. Randall created his own registration page, and then embedded the form, the registration form. But you don't have to. I like to use things in one place as they are. So what you're going to move next is make sure that here you have allow registrations via registration page, needs to be clicked on. And also make sure that these two at the bottom, enable direct link and require first name, they're both clicked on. All right, so you have two ticks on this page, allow registration via registration page, and this needs to be blue. And the other two things that needs to be blue is enable direct link and require first name. And then at this point, we're going to move into edit registration page. Now, I gotta tell you something, because I told to the team, the registration page at the moment is the weakest part of the software. But in January, they're actually coming up with new templates and an easier way to make a registration page. So I've already told to them, it's already in the pipeline, because I raised this point, like, all your software is great. I got a bugbear with the registration pages. So they already had it in their pipeline, which is great. But now in test one, there should be the name of your webinar. The title of your webinar should already appear here. So I like things to be a bit more centered. So what I will do, I will just maybe want to center this. And then I will add the subtitle here. So one of the things that I generally do, for example, in my pages, I'll put at the top, free training or free webinar. Then I'll put the title, which is here, and then I'll put subtitle. Now that's already, as you can see, the page looks a bit better, instead of having just one thing on one side. And all you have done is just pressing the center button here at the top. Here you have at the top the different commands where you want to change the font, change the size, put it left, center, or right. If you want to put bullet points, if you want to add the link, you have all these different options. So this is generally what I would do: free training, title, and subtitle. If you want to make it the title a bit bigger, what you can do once you've done it, you can just select the title, and I can increase the size. No, let's actually make it smaller. So if I want to increase the size of just one element, I can just select one and increase the size of the title. So now it stands out a bit more. You want to change the color of maybe free training. I'm going to the color palette here, the top left. You can choose white. That's like free training, title, subtitle. Okay, I like it.
Simone, could you put your own colors in?
On this one, no, you can't put your own colors in. That's one of the limitations that they have. So no, you can put your own colors in. Pardon
Yes,
me.
you can. You
My
can.
bad. My bad. Yes. So the way you do it, no, that's true. Is another part. So the way you do it is you select it, you go into the color palette, and you press more colors. With more colors, then you can put the code. Either you can pick one of these, or you can put just the code of the color.
Would you suggest, Simone, we stick with free training, or a different kind of, like I've just put free webinar or free something else?
I like in industries where webinars are very frequent, I like to use the word training instead of webinar, because the webinars can be perceived as lower value if they are overused.
That's what I wondered. So is training a word that's worked quite well?
Yes, I found that is even if it is a free webinar, like it's a free training, because it is a free training anyway. And then instead of subscribe now, I might write register below. Now, the great thing is that the timing you don't need to change, and you don't need to change anything here, because the timing will be automatically updated based on the time that you choose on your webinar. This is also why I love this software, because you change the time, you don't need to change the landing page. Automatically is modified here. The moment you change the time or date at the setting, it will show up here. Then here, instead of test 1, I will put in this free training, you will learn. And then here, I put the themes. Theme 1, theme 2, and theme 3. So that's where they will go. So you can use the word learn, or you can use the word discover. We're going to go into the images in a moment. And then when it says presentation by Simone Vincenzi, that's where I put my bio. So before I let you go and test it out, there is the last thing that I want you to do it, which is this one. So you can see that if you click, if you look at here at this top, you have like a little wheel here. And on the wheel, you can put edit image. So let's say that you don't like this image, which I personally don't. You want to put something else. I, for example, found like a gradient background, but you could put any picture there. So you see, I put this here. Now it adds a complete different dynamic to the page. So here's where I want you to play with, because then you can find a background color or you cannot change background color. You can put a background picture. And the way to find them is either you go on Canva and you put free background picture. You can go on Google and type free, put the color background picture, and then you can download one of these images. No, there are no size guidelines for this, not that I found. But in that case, it might be a question to ask the support team. It's not an answer that I know, Randall.
There is a little,
Okay.
there is a little, I made, I think you might know by now, I'm super Canva. I made the templates of these little boxes in Canva.
I love you. From webinar designer, like this is you're a dream to work with. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I
Okay.
can't remember where I clicked, but there was a help page. Oh, here it is. Here, I'm going to put it in the chat. In this help page, it tells you all the dimensions of the graphics you can create.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow. So you've created a template, Lisa, that we could put a photo into and then put it in that space.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They're super intuitive, because when you click on the edit thing, it then tells you. So it says like upper image blocks, 800 pixels by 2480 pixels. Bottom left is 470 by 200. Bottom right is 386 by 100.
All right.
But I made the templates. I'm happy again to share them.
Thank you, Lisa. Please send it over, and then we'll put it in the resources.
Okay, cool.
You're a star. I'll make sure I credit you also in the next training, like made by Lisa Thompson with your link.
Send someone to my webinar.
I will.
You should.
So then here, That's where you can decide then to change this picture, and you can decide to change this picture too. Right, so for example, after I did my changes, this is what my webinar's registration page looks like. Right, so I put free training, get clients with webinars, this is it. Next one is on the 5th of December. And that's the pictures that I put. Pictures of me here, pictures of me here. All right. So now we have done it. So now we have done it. If you want, of course, you can change also the color of the confirm sign up here. So I'm going to now close the editor. It will save automatically.
Can
Yeah.
I have one question about this page?
Sure.
Do you also link here privacy policy? Because, well, people are giving their data, so for legal reasons, it's do you also put a link here to?
You can. Absolutely you can. There is I think actually there is a setting for privacy policy. I need to check. I need to check.
There is. I did that. I was just wondering what your. It's possible and you can find it easily there, but
Yeah.
I was wondering that is
I
where.
use that setting. I just use the setting.
Okay.
I didn't put it here. But if you want to put again privacy policy, for example, then you could put it like underneath here. You could just put privacy policy and then hyperlink it. Like that if you want to do it. But otherwise, just I'll use the settings that they have. So now it's going to save automatically. So I'm going to close. And the next thing that you have here is the other thing that you have here is that adding custom links. And this is one of the things that I love the most, because it's important to track where your registrations are coming from. So when you're promoting your webinar, instead of using the same link, which is this one, which is automatically created, I like to use custom links because it tells me where they're coming from. So if I'm sending it to my email list, I will write email and I click generate. So now when I send an email, I will use this custom link because I want to make sure that I know that people are coming from emails. If I'm promoting it on LinkedIn, guess what I'm going to write? LinkedIn. I'm going to use this link on LinkedIn. If I'm promoting it on Instagram, guess what I'm going to write? Instagram. And let's say that Randall wants to promote my webinar and say, actually, Simone runs a great webinar. I'd love to promote it. What you can do is to add a custom link and I type Randall. Now I know that I can send this link to Randall and Randall can help him with the promotion. So when you're lining up partners, that's when we are going to talk about strategic partners. And for those of you to join the Ultimate Expert program, this is a huge part of the work that we do, is to find other people and creating collaborations with other people, organizations in a structured way where they are sending you their people to your webinar. So now every time you have a new partner, all you need to do is to just add them an affiliate, like a tracking link with their name, so you know who comes from that partner on your webinar. You know how many people attend, you will know how many people show up. And so that's where custom links are important. That's how easy it is to create basically your affiliate links to send to others so they can help you promote your webinar. So now I'm going to move to the next part, which is the registration fields. Now, registration fields is about the data that you want to collect. Now, personally, I like to add a general field, and I like for people to give me their full name. So I'll click surname, and I want also to add the phone number. And I make both a required field. So as you can see, there are already pre-populated fields, like you could take the company name, the job title, the country, the street, the house number, the postcode, like these are already pre-populated. The reason why I like the phone number is because then I can follow up with them with a WhatsApp message or with a text message. And I like to collect phone numbers because it is a different ways in which you can reach out or follow up with people. Now, remember that if someone doesn't want to give the real phone number, they will not give it, right? So it's not going to impact the registrations a lot. You will have more registration by not putting the phone number, but I found that I have more sales when I put the phone number. And the reason is that for someone else to give away their phone number, it means that they're also very interested in that topic. So for me, is almost like a qualifier. If I put just the email, I often have less sales than when I put the phone number. Because one, it takes away one opportunity of following up, and two, it takes it is too easy for someone to sign up just with their email. But I'm adding an extra layer to put their phone number, which is a very personal information. Now, there is always going to be about 30% of people that will put fake phone numbers. And that's okay. That's part of it. Like if I don't want to give my phone number, I'll put my fake phone number. Anyone here? I put their fake phone number registering for something? Yeah, I've done it plenty of times.
Never.
Never?
Too
Never.
trusting. Too trusting.
Right? Like maybe when you're signing up like on what's that? Like on Wi-Fi in public spaces, then they ask you for the phone number. Hell no, I'm not gonna give you my phone number on Wi-Fi in a public
Yeah.
space. Right? But you will find that the majority of people will give you the surprising thing is that the majority of people will give you the real phone number. About 70% of them. And which now you have 70% of chances more to reach out to those people. So that's why I'll keep the phone number. And I want them to be mandatory as required. You can also test, because remember, everything is a test. I have plenty of people that are very successful with webinars that don't take phone numbers, or they put the phone number not as a required field. Required means that the people must put the phone number to register. If it's unticked, then they can register even without putting it there. My personal preference is to always ask for the phone number required. If you want to add other fields, I'm not going into it right now, but you can add other fields, and then you have the consent field, which is here.
Excuse me, Simone, how did you get to that page? I don't see it. Did you
It's
save
a
something?
registration fields. So you have registration page. In the next one, you have registration fields. Do you see it? Do you get it? Okay, I can't see while I'm sharing the screen, so I'll assume that's a yes.
Sorry, I don't seem to see it. Don't worry about it. Keep on. I'll find
So
it.
are you in registration, Linda?
Yes, I am.
Do you see below registration, you have registration page, which is what we did so far?
No, I don't see that. I don't have those other links. I just have the actual page that says, oh, no, registration. Don't worry, Simone, I will find it. Keep going.
Okay, all right, I'll keep going. And then anyway, Linda, like if you're part of the Ultimate Expert program, so we can set it up during a tech slot with Nicola.
Sure, thank you.
That's the easiest way. And then you can add the consent field here, and that's where you can put your privacy policy. That's what we were talking about before. So if you type it then, you can put privacy policy, you can have a checkbox, and then create a consent link to an external URL. That's where you can do it if you want to. Right? I've done plenty of webinars without having it and never had a problem. Most of the times, in particular, like asking for this kind of permissions, what's important is that you're not selling data. As long as you're not selling data of people, you're covered. And as long as people receive the information that they ask for, you're covered. So I personally don't use it, but if you want to use it, you can add content fields here. Consent field there.
If we were going to use it, what are we using it for then? Sorry.
If you were to use it, is for people to know the privacy policy of your business, which means how you're going to treat their data. So if you have a privacy policy page on how you're collecting data, treating their data, then that's where that's why it's important.
So should we use it to say I am not selling your data on, or is that assumed?
Correct. Exactly. So then I'm moving on to the confirmation page. Again, the confirmation page is then the next step here. After you're done with the registration fields, remember, it's going to save it automatically, right? So you don't need to press any save button. It's going to save it automatically. So you're going to now move into the confirmation page here, where again, you can edit the template. So again, you can click here, edit confirmation template, which will give it. And then already, what I love about this is that basically there is nothing to change. It's a, you're signed up, first name. Like if you want to maybe to change that, instead of say, you are signed up, you can put congratulations, you're registered, first name. A confirmation with all the details has been sent to this email, and they have the option to receive the email again. And then it will to give them the webinar title, the date and the time, the option to add it to their calendar, and their own link where they can watch the webinar. And also here, there will be a button to go to the webinar. Now, of course, the webinar is not happening right now because they're just registered, but then they already have the option there. To go to the webinar page, you will just tell them that it's not ready. What I love about this, because there are all these fields that you don't need to change anything, which means that if you change the title of the webinar, you change the date, they're automatically going to be updated also on the thank you page. And if I'm going here, I can then edit the image, again, like I did before. So you want to change the image, you can click there and edit the image. That's your thank you page. Simple as that. So right now, what I want you to do is to spend a bit of time to make sure that you do the registration fields and the confirmation page. When you've done it, press done. And if you have any question at this stage, then you can ask me some questions as well. I'm gonna put some background music. I'm gonna give you
Simone, sorry.
a cut.
I'm struggling to see the next page. You know how I think Nicola was saying, I can see registration page, but how do I get to the next one?
Can you that's interesting to see. Can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, I hope.
Okay, so you gotta click close editor on the top right. That's why you couldn't see it. So on the top right, besides saved, close editor,
Right. Okay.
right? And then
See,
scroll
Simone,
up.
across the top, she's got, like I have, icons, not words.
Yes, and the reason why, so the icons are basically the words, but it
Oh,
probably
indeed.
because it is zoomed out a bit too much. So if you click on the bullet points, so if you click on the bullet points, these are the fields.
Okay.
And that's where you can add, for example, if you want to, and that's the registration page, and these are the rest. So you still have the same, it's just that probably your screen is either too small or too big, one of the two. Someone else can confirm. And then it automatically switches to icons, because otherwise the writing will take too much on. I'm not sure why.
Maybe it's a small, yes, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, you can stop sharing the screen. And Linda, you got that?
Yes, that's why I couldn't see the words. I just had the icons, so thank you.
Yeah, all right, that's good. Yeah, it is the screen size. All right, so a couple of minutes. Can continue. I'll put some background music in the chat, and if anyone has any stuck or got any question, you can let me know.
Simone, I have a question.
Yep.
In email, so I'm on to edit the registration fields. And when I click edit email, it has required field and that's checked. Then it has confirmation field with a question mark over the
Can you share
bottom.
your screen, please? I see it's going to be easier for me to follow.
Okay. Share. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so over here under email,
Mm-hmm.
it has required field, and that's already checked for me. And then it has this confirmation field. Am I supposed to check that?
No, don't check it. That's it. Uncheck it, that one.
Okay,
Okay.
that was it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
And I'll stop sharing.
All right. Back on with the background music. Don't spend time right now editing the page because that will take a bit of time after. So the design and the page of the thank you page. So just make sure you set up the field. So I'm going to give you 1 more minute. And then we're going to move on. So make sure that the fields are the one that you set up. All right, I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds, then we're going to move on. Remember, you can always catch back the replay. Also, the software has incredible tutorials as well. So I just want to give this one as maybe an overview. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on now. Here. Is that okay? Give me a okay in the chat. That's okay? Yeah. All right, perfect. So the rest, the remaining, like the embedding, I'm not going through that. The payments is in case if you want to do paid webinars. At the moment, we are just talking about free webinars, so I'm not going to show you the payments one. And also the integrations one, I'm not going to show the integrations because it will open like all kind of worms because everyone is going to use different systems. In the settings side, that's the only thing. I have everything unticked. As you can see here, everything is unticked because it's mainly about limiting the number of subscribers or limiting the number of people. So in that case, or requiring an email verification is not something that I ask people because it just creates an extra step. And I never had any problems. So on the settings, I basically have everything unticked. And that's good for me. So I'm going to move now into webinar. The webinar is when you think about actually what's happening on the webinar page. Now, I personally have not changed this, but for example, this is what people will see if the webinar is not started yet and I will go into the webinar room. They will basically see this one that says the webinar is not started yet, and then they will see the one at the end when say the webinar has ended. If you want to, you can change those picture, the start slide and the end slide. I've not done it yet. They're still good for me. At some point I will. So there's not something to worry about at the moment at this stage. You can leave them as they are. If you want to change them, you can replace them. The countdown page is basically the same thing that you did on the registration page, thank you page. It just tells them that there is a countdown. So if you want to customize your countdown page, then again, you press customize countdown page and it's exactly the same page builder that you did before. So I'm not going to show you the to you again. Because ultimately in the countdown page, you want the same information that they were on the webinar. So in fact, as you can see here in my countdown page, there is the countdown, which is automatic. The webinar will start, and then you will have the webinar starts. And then you still have already the themes here, and this training will cover and things. So once you have created the registration page, it will automatically be put in the countdown page. You want to change, you want to modify, edit it, you can do that. So that's the countdown. And the countdown is the page that they are going to see when the webinar is not started. Imagine someone logs in a couple of minutes before. They see the countdown instead of seeing the webinar. And then as soon as the webinar starts, the countdown page comes into the webinar room for the attendees. I'm not going to put presentations here at the moment. I'm not going to explain about the presentation, video injections, and so on. That's something that you can also read on your own by yourself. What I'm going to focus on is the chat settings, because the chat is actually the most important thing. The chat is really important. And what I want to make sure is that public chat is enabled. Public chat is enabled, because what you want is to create a sense that there are actually people in the room, right? That they are talking to each other. If someone writes and they don't see other things right, they might feel self-conscious in writing. When they see other people writing and interacting, it basically encourages other people that might not interact to interact. So public chat and private chat, I have them both enabled. Because if someone wants to send a private message, they can send a private message or put a public chat, which means that now everyone can message, like everyone can see the messages. I don't put forward all incoming private chats to the email address. I think it becomes too much. Limits viewer chat history. Basically, this one, I don't have it enabled because it basically says that they cannot see anything that happened in the chat before they joined. You know, a bit like a WhatsApp group. If you join a WhatsApp group, you can only see the chat that they are after the moment you join, not the one before the moment you joined. If you limit the viewer chat history, that's what happens. And also, I don't want to display the viewer's last name for privacy. So only the first name. And the rest is unticked. So for you in chat settings, what I want you to do, I'm going to give you 30 seconds for this. In the chat setting, which is if you only have the icons, you will have a speech bubble. Public chat and private chat. That's it. These are the only two things that you have enabled. So do that now. When you've done it, just put done in the chat. All right. And remember that this is the first time. So the first time is the one that takes the longest, because every time you have already done these settings, the next time that you're creating another webinar, all this is already done. Like all these settings are already enabled. So I just want to make sure that you have them in the right way. Okay. Then I'm going to go into the Q&A, and the Q&A adds another layer of complexity, which if you're running your webinar for the first time, I will just invite people to put the questions in the chat and leave the Q&A on its own, because otherwise, and put it disabled, because otherwise now you have multiple tabs that you need to go through. Now you need to check the chat tab and the Q&A tab. So unless you're already familiar with it, I would recommend you to start with the Q&A disabled and then enable it another time. And then you can completely ignore sales page and evaluation. Not gonna go through these two things because you will not need them as you're directing people to a different sales page, because we are going to go into interaction and emails, which are the other two important. Yeah, exactly, Jimmy. So that's why, in particular, in the chat, you can you make sure that people can see the chat is unrestricted, and then people can just scroll and then see what has been happening. So I'm going to go in settings, and what we want is make sure that viewers on stage are invite only. I don't want viewers to share the screen or to see the list of viewers. Because if you allow viewers to see the list of viewers, it means they will know how many people there are in the room. Which, if you have a big webinar, is great. But if you have a webinar with 3 people, they don't need to know there are only other 2 people on the webinar with them. As long as people are interacting in the chat. I mean, of course, people can figure it out by the names, but it's just easier. So you have less things. It is mainly for you, so you can be focused on just delivering the presentation. So here in the setting, make sure you have it only invite only, and these things are disabled. So when you've done this part on the settings, just type done in the chat, so then I know that I can move on.
Hi, it's Carolyn. I have a quick question on
Sure.
sharing their screen. If you leave it this way, but then the day of, you really do want this one person to share their screen, how do I make that happen if my original setting says they can't?
You can allow that on that moment, during that moment. So
Is there just in the
yeah.
list, I could do it like Zoom?
Yeah, so it'd be like Zoom. If you click on their profile on that person, there's like a 3 dots and you say allow
Okay.
screen sharing. But if you put that, it means that everyone can share their screen.
No, don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit like giving permission to someone. You can still do that. All right, so I'm gonna move on. So remember, everything has been saved so far. So I'm going to go quickly into interactions. And there are 2 types of interactions that you can create. I mean, that I'm going to cover actually. At the moment, I'm only going to cover call to action and a poll. The call to action is the most important one, because the call to action is basically your sales pitch, like, you know, what directs them to your sales page or to your booking link. And the way that a call to action works is like this. So I'm just going to show you. So then you can have an idea. So this is my next one, dry run, right? So this is when you are running your Webinar Geek room, how it looks like. And you have something called interactions here in the middle. When you're pressing interaction, you have the call to action, which is here, and or you have the polls that you might create. And the call to action, if you press start, then it basically, that's all you see. What they see is a pop-up under their presentation that says, click here to buy this program, click here to register. So when it's time for you to make the call to action, if you have this enabled, instead of putting a link in the chat, now you have this pop-up. What I love about this is that everyone that clicks is going to be tracked. So when you're going to your analytics later, you can actually see everyone that clicks. And that's what I love about this, because then I can see who clicks but didn't buy. I can follow up with them. Right? So that's what I wanted to show you here in terms of what is the call to action. So I'm going to click call to action. You can decide, I mean, at the moment I was the new call to action template. And then, as you can see here, I put in my call to action, I'll put the name. So in this case, I'll put booking call. This is your internal username, booking call. And then I will want open a URL website. Because you have different options for the call to action. You can save the request and show a thank you. Open the form with extra input fields. Subscribe to a future webinar, or open a URL website. You want to open a URL website. Because ultimately, if you have a booking link, that's then where you can put, for example, your URL. Which means then when they click, it will open it. Also, the other thing that you can put is the default duration of a call to action. Let's say that you want this to be available only to give people 15 minutes or 30 minutes for doing that. I can just type 0. That's 1:30. That's 1
I'm
minute.
sorry, Simona, I didn't catch that. Do
Yeah.
you activate this call to action while you're in the webinar, or is it active all the time as the webinar is running?
You activate it in the moment that you want. If you want to activate it at the beginning of the webinar, you can activate it at the beginning. So you activate it, but let's say that you want that to be there throughout the entire webinar from the beginning, you can do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then here you can see that there's going to be the video. So here it will show this will be the webinar video, and then it will say your title here. So your title here, then in this case, it will be click o'clock. Click below to book your call. It's going to be, no, I'm just taking the piss right now. It's going to be awesome. And then click here. When I click here, then it will open this link that you put here, which is then the link to your checkout, to your sales page, to your to the booking call link, whatever it is that you are selling. That's the link of the offer that you're selling. You want to put an image again, you can click here and then change an image. So I want to either hide it, which means I don't want to have an image at all. I can do that. Or I can change my image for this one here. Can change the color of this as well. And so what I want you to do now is to take about a minute to create your call to action. And again, to do it, you're going into create interaction, call to action, new call to action template. But then you got to make sure instead of just getting out, you got to do create call to action, because otherwise it will not save it. So that's one of these things that you need to create. Otherwise, if you move back, it will not save automatically. So I'm going to do it, create call to action, and that's going to be there. So do it. I'm going to give you another minute. Once you've done it, then just press done, type done in the chat. If you have any question, feel free to ask questions as well, because then we're going to move to emails.
I'm lost at a very minor technicality. The format of the timing in there, what is that? Is that in hours? Because you had 1:30, was that 1 minute, 30
Is in minutes. Is in minutes.
So 1:30 would be 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Correct, exactly. So 1:30 is 1 minute, 30 seconds, because in fact, you cannot put anything more. You cannot put an hour, for example. So the maximum you can put is 59 minutes. But when you're activating the call to action, you can choose if you just enable it for that time that you have pre-selected, or just keep it running.
Simone, I find the help feature is in the lower right-hand corner, and I can't turn it off. The chat with them. Is there some way of turning it off? It's driving me crazy.
I'm not sure.
Oh, maybe because I'm in the 14 days.
You are in the 14 days, so
Okay.
that's where that you will have the most notifications otherwise. So normally then in that case, I will just click here and click again.
Yeah, but you can't click it off. It stays.
No, it stays there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Just thought it was me.
No, it's just because you're in the 14-day trial and they want to make sure you explore all the functionalities. And
If you open it up and actually mark all their messages as read, it stops.
Okay. Thank you.
good. Thank you, Randall.
Hey, Simone, I noticed that you have this fill in the form on yours
Which one?
here in the middle. Fill in the form right there. Yeah, where does that come from? Because I don't see that.
That's so in that case, it is like if you have open form with extra input field, but that's not relevant. What we want is open a URL website, which then it means you
Okay.
don't have it. That will be
Okay.
only if you have because if you put a form where you want extra details from them, that's it. But the context is we want to direct them to a link where they can make a purchase or book a call. So
Yeah.
you only want to use open a URL website.
Now, quick question. Can you have two, like to make a purchase and book a call, two different links?
Ideally put you can create another call to action, but you cannot have two call to actions active at the same time.
Okay.
So if you have two call to actions, for example, you might put the link to purchase in the call to action here, and then you can but if you want to book a call, you can put this link and you put it in the chat. So if
Okay.
you have multiple links that you want to direct people to.
Gotcha.
And Simone, can I ask? I assume that opens it says the time limit.
Yeah.
So if I assume that remains available after the call has ended because it opens in a different window. Or
So let me show you how this will work. So I'm going to a dry run. And then I'm going into interaction. So once I'm putting the interaction, I'm clicking ready here. And I'm putting start. So that's now where it's going to happen. So now they have it. Now they see it. And on their level, like right now is my webinar room, but on their room, then it will be like a pop-up that is open at this stage, right? That's in their room.
Yeah.
When they click it, it will then open a new tab
yes.
with your offer.
Yes.
Right, so it's not going to erase or cancel the tab of the webinar, just open it in a new tab.
And will that tab remain open when I close the webinar?
And the tab will remain open when you close the webinar because now it's considered as a separate tab.
Yeah, because I'm asking them to choose a date, so they may take time.
Exactly. So in that case, absolutely, it will stay open. And also, what I love about Webinar Geek, which is another thing that I love, is that once you set the replay, every action that you take in the live webinar is automatically replicated in the replay. So if you press the call to action at a certain time and someone is watching the replay, at the same time in which you did it live, the call to action will appear also on the replay. And those people will be tracked as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, like even the replay experience that people have is very similar to what the experience that people had on the live. So any action you take on live is going to be replicated on the replay automatically without doing any extra work. While in a lot of other webinar softwares, you will need to input them manually, like it's a bit of a shamble. So that's another thing that I love. So I'm going to move now into the final part. And now, which is about the emails. So I'm going to put emails. And the email are designed, you have basically 3 different types of emails. But you can see here, new email, you have you have the webinar sign up, which is still the same. This is the email that they will always receive when they register. The thank you email. Hey, thank you for registering. Then you have, when you click new email, you have reminder emails, follow-up email, and replay email. They all have different strategies. So if I put a reminder email in, remember the reminder email are your engagement sequences. I'm going to create now a new template. Now, this is my new template. This is a reminder email. So dear first name is already there. So I can just change instead of dear, I want to put hi. That's where you put the content of the email that we have created. You know, you copy and paste literally the content that you have on your document on the engagement sequence. So you put content here, and then you don't need to change anything else because the time of the webinar, it will be here. The add to calendar, the title of the webinar is there. You want to change maybe like the picture here. Of course, you can change the picture and change your logo. That's where they can unsubscribe, and that's where they do the webinar. So I basically don't change anything here. I'll leave them as they are. I don't want to touch these parts. I can only change the content here. So all you gotta do is maybe like I don't want this image here. I'm gonna delete the image. I don't want this. I'm gonna delete this image or change it. Put the content, and then I'm gonna click create email. Here, if you want to test how it looks, you can send yourself a test email here at the top, send test email, which now it will send it to you. And I'm going to create an email now. So then at the top, you have reminder for internal use, which is here. So I'll put reminder 1. The subject is the subject they will receive. So that's going to be the subject email that you're going to send. So in that case, if it is like 3 days before and it's a story about you, then you'll put that subject of that email. The sender name, who is sending it. So by default, it will put like your company. So in this case, this is what they will appear on the inbox. So I want to put my full name, Simone Vincenzi. Or if you're actually sending them in behalf of your company, you put your company. Sender email, which is the email that you have. You can send your test email, and then you can decide. That's what I love. You can schedule the email how many days before? You want to schedule the email 1 day before, 2 days before, 3 days before. Now, what I love about this is that when you're duplicating the webinar, adding another date, you don't need to change those emails because every email now is going to be triggered by the date of the webinar. You change the date of the webinar, all the emails are going to change without you doing any other work. So I'm going to put this, I want to send it 3 days before the webinar. So 3 days, and I'm going to press schedule email. Boom. So now the email has been scheduled, and you can see that now you can see when it's planned. So it will tell you who it goes to and when it's planned. So then I'm going to go back to all emails. Right? So you can see that now I have a reminder email set up. And then I do the exact same things either with the replay emails or the follow-up emails. It's the same process. The replay emails is basically the email with the replay. The follow-up emails are the sales emails. And they work in exactly the same way. So if I want to put a follow-up email, for example, I'm going to click here. Again, I'm going to, in this case, I don't have an existing template to use, so I'm going to pick a new template. And then this is my follow-up email, which is my sales email. Buy now. Click here. I'm going to test it. I can create it now after I've edited it. Again, I put the subject. This is the internal name. Make sure I update the sender. And then I decide I want this email to be sent 1 day before after the webinar. Schedule email. All right. And so now you can see that you're building now all your different emails. So the reminders are your engagement sequence and the follow-up emails are your sales sequence, the conversion sequence. So the conversion sequence goes here. The engagement sequence goes here. Another thing which is a bit nuanced, in any replay email or follow-up email, what I can do, now there is no limit. There is no, you can send unlimited emails. That's the other thing that I love. You can add emails at any point. Now, what I love is that for every email that you send, for every replay or follow-up email, you have the option to decide who you're sending it to. To everyone who's a subscriber, to everyone that is viewed, or to everyone that is not viewed. So if you want to send something a bit more customized for those of you that are a bit more advanced, you can, like if this is your first webinar, just send it to all subscribers. You don't need to worry about that. But if you want to customize a bit more and just say one for viewers, one for non-viewers, change a bit the tone, you can do that as well. That's for every replay and for every follow-up email. And then finally, to show you the replay email, you want to send a replay. What I love about that is that you don't need to change anything. Like view webinar, it already is their own replay link. You don't even need to put a replay link. You don't need to change anything. Like you put, hey, here is the replay. Click below. And then people can send it. People can click here, and that's their own unique webinar link, their own unique webinar replay link. And you edit them as you want to edit them. Create it. This is the replay, same setting. I want to send this one to everyone who didn't view it, who wasn't on the live. And now they get their own replay email with that included. I want to send it one day after, one day, and 2 hours later. I'll schedule it. And again, it will tell me when it's sent. All right, so as you can see, is super easy to do all your emails. Now, the great thing is that once you have created your first template, let's say you want to schedule another follow-up email, instead of starting from a new template, you can copy an existing template. Which means that you do the editing and design work once on the emails. No more than once. You do the editing and design work once. You pick the one that you want. You select the email. So every email that you send is basically created a template. And now it automatically picks that template that I had. So once you've created a template once, then the new ones, so you use them from an existing template because you have done the design work already. Do these guys have other software? Is very I don't think, I hope they do. I don't know, but this is for all these reasons. I think this is probably the best software I've ever used in general. Is like compared to how complex all the things that it does are, and how it works in the back end is insane. So I'm going to give you a time because I want you to schedule just your first email. Pick one, maybe like a reminder, like a reminder email. So new email, reminder email, just to play around with this. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, and then we can go ahead and publish, and I'm going to spend some time talking about slide building. I know I'm a bit over. I wanted to spend more time doing slide building, so I can stay on. I don't have another call later on, so I can stay on a bit longer because I promised you I was going to talk about the slides. But this is the first time I'm doing a walkthrough of this software, so it's also new for me, this particular session. So I'm gonna give you some time to play around, and then I'm also opening it up for questions that you might have.
Simone, do you have that number of selections on that page? You've got sign up, start soon, thanks for watching, because you've already created them? Because I only have sign up and
Yeah, these are the ones that I just created right now.
Okay. So once you create them, then they're going to be here for available for future use.
Absolutely. Like once you build them, then they are there, which then means that when you are creating another
Right.
webinar, they're going to be already there. Like you don't
Exactly.
need to do the work again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me see. Any question that you might have while we are here on the email side?
Simone, you have watched the webinar replay twice. Are we sending emails, the follow-up emails are including the webinar a couple of times?
This was just like what I did here on
Mhm.
just to play around. So in fact, as you can see, that was already there, not scheduled. Thanks for watching.
Mhm.
Not scheduled. These were already here. So
Okay.
what I want you to follow is basically the worksheet that we did on the emails, right?
Okay.
So you have your engagement emails that they are your, like I gave you already the timings on those ones, which are the reminders. And then you have the follow-up emails, which you already have the timing. So you put them as follow-up emails.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, so when you're done creating your first email, just like playing around with it, just put done. So then we can also talk about slide building. Any question, just feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll put some background music for the next couple of minutes. All right, Randall, you're welcome. And all the best for your webinar on Monday. Smash it.
Thank you. I'll let you know how it goes. Cheers. Bye, everyone.
I'm gonna give you 2 more minutes and then we're going to move on. I got last 30 seconds. All right. And time, people. So you can stop where you are. So back on the screen here. And so once you have done it with those, once you have scheduled your email, remember once you scheduled, it will always be saved. And you will always see that the one that is set up like direct 3 days, 1 day, 2 hours, these are the one that you have set up correctly, because it will always have a date on how many days before or after it will be sent. If you're not scheduled something, it will show not scheduled. So have a look, because I thought once I scheduled something and I forgot to press create or schedule it, and it didn't get sent because I didn't double check that it was done. And I was like, why didn't the email got sent? And then I was like, oh, it's not been scheduled. So just make sure that everything is scheduled and will have a date or a time attached to it. And then at this point, you do publish. It gives you a checklist. Have you done the broadcast? Do you have a registration page? Have you set up your interactions? Have you set up your reminder emails and follow-up emails? So it actually tells you which parts you have not completed. And then you press publish. Boom. Now is your webinar. Now you have your webinar. So when you're ready to run, you will click this big orange button that you cannot miss it. You want to test it, you have the dry run option, which I recommend to do. So then you become familiar also with the platform. After the webinar, then you can see all the statistics. And then to find your links for promotion, you can see that you have here your registration page, and this is the regular link. If you click this one, you have all your tracking links. So the one to use by email, the one to use from LinkedIn, for Instagram, and Randall's. They're the one that we have created before. So that's how you can find your tracking links is here. All right. And then that's it. So I'd love to know from everyone before we move to slide building, what do you think so far about the system and this particular process? Because I personally, like, I know software is one of these things that everyone has a different learning curve, depending on how much experience they have with tech and so on. So this is the simplest that I found, which I love it. So I can see amazing, it's perfect, absolutely awesome, which now adds me to an extra thing, right? Actually, to say, let's say that you have run this webinar. You want to do it again. You don't even need to duplicate it. You're going to edit webinar. You scroll down and you do add an extra broadcast. So let's say that this one is already passed. So instead of doing on the 13th of December, I've already done it. And now you want to do it again. You don't even need to duplicate. You just do add an extra broadcast. You select the date, you select the time, you press save, and that's all you have to do to plan your next webinar. That's it. It's pretty awesome, right? That's where I was sold. I'm like, oh my God, I don't need to recreate another sequence every time or even to duplicate, because everything is based on fields. Everything is based on a trigger by the date of the webinar, by the name of the webinar. So the moment you change something, it changes everything else automatically. And that's all you have to do. I've done it. Stop editing. So now I can see that I've got multiple dates. Simple as that. And that's what I love. And so then when you're also going into statistics, then you can see the full statistics of each webinar, but also the total of the webinars that you run on the same topic. So then if you're running the same webinar, which is what I recommend, multiple times throughout the year, then you can see how each webinar has performed, but also you can see the total overall. And this is what you're the most interested in throughout the year. Because now you're doing the same webinar over and over again, and then you can see over time what is the performance of that. When you redo the webinar, do I speak live or just a recording? When you redo the webinar, is another live one. If you are in the premium version, then after you have a few live that you have done, you can then automatically turn a live one into an automated one. Basically, it takes a replay, it puts in an automated one, and again, everything you've done in live now is replicated in the automated one. At the moment of go live, what do we need to do? Can you show what to do at the time of the webinar? Sure. Okay, so when you want to go live, let me get back on the test. So you will press this, right? When you go, so I'm gonna press here, which will tell you like it will be at the moment you can't because it's not ready. So I'll go to dry run, which is the same concept. You select your camera and the microphone. So here you're there. If you want to put a virtual background, select your camera, the microphone that you want to use, and then you press enter webinar. And then everything is already there. The interactions that you have scheduled, they are here. So what I do, I make sure that I have the chat tab open because I want to make sure it's there. That's the tab that I want to see. You will see here the number of attendees that are going to come, that are going to show you. And then here, instead of saying start dry run, it will say start webinar. The moment you click that, it will be a countdown and then they can see you. And then you're good to go.
Yeah, because Lisa, you're asking about hosting, and I assume that this is it. It's hosted within Webinar Geek software, right? Or am I missing some part of the question?
Yeah, it's hosted here.
It's all here, right?
It's all hosted here. Like the replay is hosted in Webinar Geek. Everything is hosted within the software. And then I use the screen sharing to screen share the slides. I'm not a fan of, because there is an option where you can upload the presentation, but I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather screen share my slides because I can screen share if I have a Canva or if I document, or if I have I use PowerPoint, so I can screen share the PowerPoint. So I'm not using the content tab. I'm basically only using interactions when I want to add the call to action and the chat tab. These are the only two things I'm interested in, interaction and chat.
Is there any rationale behind why you're not using the built-in? Is it just because you like to use different tools during the webinar and switch between
It's
them?
mainly because if you're uploading a file, you can put any animations because it's a static file, it's a PDF file that you're uploading. So if you have a presentation with some animation like bullet points appearing one after the other, it's almost like you would need to have a document where
okay.
every bullet point is a new slide.
Yeah,
Right.
okay,
So
that makes
in
sense.
that case, that's why I cannot use any animations, like no animation will appear. So that's why I prefer to do share the screen. I'll share my slides and then I'll take it from there. So if I have my slides, for example, like this is the one from the accelerator that I have, I'll go share my PowerPoint. That's what people are going to see. And I can use all my animations. Lisa, was that your question? Or do you want to unmute yourself and ask it?
Yes, please. Maybe I'm asking it incorrectly, saying hosting. So the way that Randall did it, and he's jumped off now, is that he embedded his sign up form on his website. But is that URL that it populates, is that standalone enough to share?
Yes, absolutely. So I had
Perfect.
my webinar review. I had my webinar review session with Randall earlier, and we talked about this. And it's he has a preference of style, and he already knows, he already has some templates. He already has a certain way that he wants things to look, and he couldn't do it in that way within the limitation of the software. But actually, for example, like this page, which is my registration page, even for my next webinar on the 5th, is the one that I've created within Webinar Geek. And the different tracking links will direct to this page. That's also why I like to have the tracking links. I like to use their pages, because it means that I can use tracking link to direct to these pages. Otherwise, it will need to set up tracking links somewhere else, because the form is embedded in a website, right? So I want to have the ability to see where everyone is coming from and to have all my tracking links. I cannot do it if it is an embedded form, unless I have my own tracking system, which I don't want to create.
That's why I was confused, because when he posted in the chat and said he put it on his Wix site, I thought, well, then what? How does that then work in conjunction with this software? Because this seems to be the complete package that we don't need to go and create another separate landing page elsewhere.
Correct, exactly. So there was a choice. That was his choice, because in this case, he will not be able to use this tracking link.
Right.
I mean, he could use them, but the tracking link will then go into the page, the Webinar Geek page. And so I think that for analytic purposes, and also now they are making improvements on the landing pages. And actually, this is anyway all you need to see on a page, right? Like it's not bad. Could be better, yes, but ultimately, I'm more interested in what's the percentage of people that sign up. And actually, having a page like this, a simple page like this, gives me about a 60%, 50 to 60% opt-in rate, which I'm incredibly happy with.
And would it be confusing, Simone, to have it as this standalone URL and to have it on your website, or is that like an unnecessary step?
It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
Okay.
I want to direct people on one
onto
part.
this, because that's what I'm thinking, because this populates all the links for all of your socials. So it seems to make sense to just use this.
I only use this. I don't use anything else.
Good.
That's why
Good.
moving to the software, it cut me everything, any other design. And I'm just using this because also when I'm going to, like if I'm going, for example, in the statistics, right? Let me go in here. And this is, for example, my next one. I can see now the statistic of different webinars that I've run. Right, so I had one on the 9th, and this is all with the same registration page. I can see I've got 64.4% registration with an average of 55%. 666 visitors, 390 subscribers. Really happy with it. It means that the marketing was very targeted. And also tells me, okay, the one on the 9th of October, I had 33 people registering, 25 viewers, 17 live. I can see the one on the 22nd.
Is this the place where you can also download people's data?
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Correct. So you can then see reporting, the registration, that's where you download everything. You can see the tracking of the emails. You can see the viewers, if they viewed, how long they viewed. I'm not going to be able to share it because I've got personal data here. And then what I can show is like what I love about the interaction is that on the analytics, I can see everyone that clicked on the offer. These are the people that clicked on the offer on the replay. These are the people that clicked on the offer on the live. You can see the massive difference that there is, right?
Okay, because I don't see it because I don't have any data yet. So these tabs that you have on top, okay, I don't see it yet.
This will only appear after you run it. So after you run it, it will start populating everything. All right. Any other question on this, B, or otherwise, because I know there were questions about slide building, so.
No, this is perfect. That's perfect. That answers my question. I think it was just that there's the preview page, and then there's another page that you also get the option to edit as well, which was just like a little, once that was once it looked different. There was.
I'm not sure which one. I'm
just trying to find it on mine.
Because you will have you have basically the registration.
Yeah.
The confirmation, and then the webinar. So the registration is this one.
Yeah, and the confirmation one, okay, because that one at the moment is just like an empty boxes for me. Okay, I get it. That's what. Okay, I see. I get it. I'm kind of answering your question.
Right, that's what they receive after
Yes.
they register. That's the pop-up
Yeah.
they receive after they register.
So they basically that's why I spent a bit of time making this page nice, because I'm thinking this is the page that people are going to see. So I want this to be visually appealing so people sign up. And then when I saw the message in the chat box, I was like, oh crap, now if I'm putting it on Wix, I've got to design another page.
No, you don't. No. That was a Randall.
Good.
That was a Randall because he already had a certain way. He didn't like he knows what he's doing on a design level, and he just didn't like the limitations that
Got
he
it.
had. But what is missing by doing that is all the tracking functionalities, because he can only track one thing. He can only track viewers from one link, not from where they're coming from. So actually, I would not recommend it because of
No,
that.
that's okay. I'm really happy you said that. So once we've done our emails, we are good to publish.
Then you're good to publish,
Oh my God.
and then it's done. Right? And to be honest, even you can publish even before you've done all the emails, because as long as you have the reminder email set up, the others you can add them later, the follow-up emails.
Yeah.
People are not receiving them after the webinar. So sometimes when I'm tight on time and I want to start with the marketing, I'll just go until the webinar, and then a few days before I'm just gonna finish it later, if I don't want to do that whole stint in one.
And do you have, I guess while we're on that, do you have data on days that are more effective for sign up of when you share this and email and post on your socials?
It's more based on time zones of the audience that you want to attract.
Yeah.
That there is not one universal. It's like,
That's not- okay.
when is my ideal target audience more likely to open them? So I often send an email generally like one in the morning and one in the afternoon, because the one in the morning will be read by the European audience. The one in the afternoon is more likely to be read by the US audience when they wake up, right? Because it's their morning. And so that's my thinking in terms of email. So I might have one in the morning because I mainly, my target audience is Europe and US. And so I'll send one at 8 a.m. UK time, which is 9 a.m. European time, or 7 a.m. UK time. That's the general one. And then I will go into for the US one, I will send one at like 5 to 6 p.m. European time.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right. You're welcome. Any other question on this, or are we ready to move on slides building, people? I know we're running quite very over, but hey. Am I talking to myself? Can I get a sign of life from everyone who is here?
Time for cake. It's time for cake.
Time for cake, Linda. Okay. All right, we're good to move to slides.
Yeah.
Good. Give me yes in the chat. Show me everyone that you're still here with me, that you're still alive. Because I cannot see everyone. All right. Fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to move into slides. And I'm actually, I think Lisa probably should run this session at this point. I have this, I just have this feeling, but what I did, I basically wanted to show you something on a basic level and then answer questions that you might have. And I decided to use Lisa's Canva template for this, because what Canva allows you to do on a slide level is that, let's say that you have your thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. So once you have, like, you can see, you can put the words in of yours, but the slides, they need to have a balance between words and pictures. That's the most important thing to understand about slides. They need to have a balance between words and pictures. And I'm going to give you first a bit of like an overview on what I use, just to make sure that you understand, and then we are going to move into the technical level. So there are moments where I use words if I want to show the title or the subtitle, for example. If I want to show the title or the subtitle, I will use words. If I want to show what's included and what we are covering, I will use words. There is a rule that I have, though. If you see this slide, this block of text like this, what experience do you have? What experience does your brain have?
Well, I focus on what's written and not what's being said.
Yeah, and how easy is to read what's there?
It's not easy.
It's not easy. So ultimately, when you have text, you want to make sure that every text that has more than one line appears one at a time. Because now what you show is where you direct the attention of the audience. If you see this, you don't know where to focus on. If you see 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, your brain naturally will follow the next step. So if you have a slide, even like the themes, for example, have it sequential in bullet points, one coming after the other. This is the first thing. And then I want to use as many images as possible. Because remember, your slides are there to trigger what you're going to say, and also as a visual representation for the audience. You don't want to have a lot of text-heavy slides. Text is something that can be easy to see, easy to spot, easy to comprehend, but ultimately, I'm having, as you see, a lot of pictures. Then if there is a particular concept I want to explain, then I will use words again. But again, you can see that they are pinging one at a time. Then I'm going back to picture. Then I'm going back to picture and words. So the goal is that the less words, the better. And the more pictures, the better. Not too many pictures per slide, 1 picture per slide. So this is the rule. This is the rules, because you want to make easy for someone to follow. And slides are mainly a trigger. They are a trigger for you to remember what to say. Because otherwise, the more text you have, the more tempted you are to just read from your text. And that will create a disconnect between you and the audience. So you know what you're going to say. Then you can use the slides, the picture, to trigger that particular point. As you can see, not too much text. Then I'm using stats. I'm going to put some text, but then I make sure it's broken down one at a time. So this is the first one. Like how to think about slides. Then now I'm going to go into Canva, because one of the things that you can use with the Canva template, which which you can find in your paddleboard. Let me just go here so then I can, so at the bottom, Canva slide template. This one, I think it is a copy. Post in new tab. All right, it might be. Okay, there we go. So this is the link for everyone that wants to use it. I'll put it in the chat. So when you go into Canva, there is one thing that you can do. So you open it up, and now there is something called layout here, which is something that I absolutely love about Canva. What layouts does, it basically automatically edits your slides with a suggested design. So for example, I'm going to place layout. Now you can see it's going to give me different styles. You might want to maybe like the title. Let's say that I have this one is now going to change it, where I can put a picture here, and now it looks like this on that slide, and I can change the color. I want to use this one where there is a picture on the left and the title on the right. I want to use this one where there is a picture, background picture. So what this is a picture if you're using Canva. And that's it. So now it actually becomes very easy to edit the slides, because it gives you already a framework or a template. That's absolutely insane. In particular, that's why I also was grateful for Lisa to create a Canva template, because let's say that you have the themes, right? You go into layouts. I can use this one now. Theme 1, theme 2, and theme 3. It automatically, now it makes it in a nicer way. I want to use this one where these are pictures. Theme 1, Theme 2, Theme 3. I want to use this one with a picture on the left and what it will cover on the right. So now automatically you can see by changing and updating those pictures how you can use this template if you have written text. And that's in case if you're stuck with slides. So I'm not talking to you if you are already a good designer. Because if you have experience already creating slides in a certain way, you will have your style. You will know already what to do. But if you're starting out and you can use this Canva template here, now it is going to save tons of your work. So now let's say that I have one where I have here, let's say what your audience is often doing wrong. I want the layout, which is like this. And what's interesting, it actually reads the text that you put in. It reads the text and it automatically like it picks up things. So I could actually use already this image here because what Canva is doing is basically reading it and then see which image applies the most. Of course, sometimes it gets it right, sometimes no, but I can have this one. Right. And that's done all automatically here in layouts. I want this one. Oh, this is nice. I like it. Right. So that's how you can automatically use the slide and update the content to the relevant images using the layouts. And if you have never done it, this is something that will help you massively. You cannot edit it. You should be able to create it though. You should be able to add it to your own Canva. I am
How do I do that? Because I open it and it opens. I do have an Canva account, but I cannot somehow kind of, copy it maybe so that it's
you want to share the screen? See if we can help you out with that.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, just 1 second. Let me go to the Zoom. Can you see now?
Okay, scroll down.
So, okay, never mind. Thank you.
But that's why we are here. Right, I guess sometimes like the smallest thing.
You're a genius. Thank you.
I am, right? Thank you. I'm just like I'm so good at this. All right. Okay, sorted. So now as you can see, you can go in layouts. Then you can say got it.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Then you can stop sharing the screen now.
I've never used Zoom, so how do I?
Okay. I'll stop it. I'll stop it for you.
Please stop it for
There we
me.
go.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you can rename it as Lisa is mentioning you can rename it to your name. So now it becomes your template. Okay, so that will be the best way in which I can recommend you if you are not good at design to use it because again, it will simplify your life, right? It will make it way simpler and much faster to use. If you already have slides that you already use because you have created before for other presentation, that's great. Start with what you have. But otherwise, if you have a zero starting point, this is a great way to use it. So I'm going to open it up now for questions, either on the webinar or on the slide side. So then we can I can answer some of the questions, and then we'll wrap up for the day.
And Simona, when we've done it in Canva, so do you recommend saving it as a PPT so that we get those transitions in?
Again, that's depending on your preferred style. So
Yeah.
some people I know that they will just use the Canva present, right?
So present directly from Canva, basically.
Yeah. So you have your animation in Canva.
Okay, that's
going
to be easier. All right.
And you can present straight from Canva.
Okay. It will let it, yeah, I guess because once we go to screen share in Webinar Geek, we can activate whichever system we've
tab.
got.
Correct.
Yeah, got it. Cool.
Exactly. So that's one way. Or otherwise, if you prefer and you're already using another software, then you can download it and you can decide to download whether it's in a PowerPoint or in a PDF So if you have PowerPoint and you're already familiar with PowerPoint, you create a slide in Canva and then you download it in PowerPoint. That's, for example, I'm used to use PowerPoint. Just because I've used that for 14 years and I know there are better ways, but I'm good with that. Like it does the job and it does the job really well. So I create a slide in Canva and then I'm going to do and download it in PowerPoint. That's my preferred. But if you prefer to just like use it, and you can use actually the presentation from Canva and share it from here.
Can you do as a little demo in your demo thing that you were in and just see how it looks from doing it live from Canva into, there you go, your
All
green
right, so
screen.
I still had already here. So let me go into present. I'll see here. I gotta play with this because I've not done it.
Yeah, me either. I did the template, but then I didn't go beyond.
Gotta test it. Enter full screen mode. Know what the issue is actually with Canva presenting is that it will
It
put
was
it
it was doing it. It was doing it for
Oh, you'll
us.
see it?
Yeah, we can see it clicking over. Then there's just an audience window screen that comes up that says let the audience see it.
Mm. I'm not sure because so here I have
Yeah,
like
that little pop-up keeps coming up. So maybe we say don't show this again.
yeah, but I cannot see my pop-up now. I cannot see that.
Ah,
What I see is this.
yeah, that's what we see.
That's what you see.
Yeah.
But then here
And then
on
but that needs a little tick box. It's maybe it's because it's black behind. There we go.
yeah, but it's part of the screen share. So I can't click in here.
Ah, that's not a okay, that's not a clickable thing.
It's not a clickable thing. It's not a clickable thing. So in that case, I might actually, because what we want is a separate window. Like this needs to be ideally a separate window. Yeah, I gotta play around with that.
Yeah.
Because
We
I'm
all have
not, it's the first time that I'm doing what I'm finding with this way, then the issue being that because they're both, and I'm using one screen only, so I just wanted to do always everything on one screen. And when I present from Canva, it just give me full screen. So if I'm full screen, in that case, let me see. Yeah, that's the presenter. And then I share the screen. Oh no, done it. Okay, figured it out. I figured it out. Okay, cool. So now this is basically what you're seeing.
great.
And that's, I'm going in the tab. The problem with this is that then I don't see the tab of I don't see the chat. So then I need to just go back on this tab here to go back if I'm using Canva. But the way I did it was this way. So I'm going with Canva. So I went into share, present, and then I had presenter view. And in presenter view, now I go into enter full screen mode here. Don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. I click that and then I'm going back. Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right. There's a bit more playing around with this, but I'm just so used to doing it with PowerPoints that I've not played around with the Canva part. Alrighty. Any other question? All right, let me just check in with everyone. Agnieszka, you good?
Yes, thank you. I'm now playing with the layout option. It's nice.
All right, that's great. Charlotte, how about you?
I think she's just had to step away, but yeah, she's
Ah,
okay.
okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't see it. All right. Then Linda.
Great, Simone. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely brilliant as always.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Eddie. Good. Okay. Let me see. Oh, Charlotte is back. Charlotte, do you have any question or things good with you?
No, it's been absolutely brilliant. Really, really love the software. So thank you so much. Really helpful.
All right. I appreciate it. Lisa, with you? All good? Okay.
I'm all
Nicola.
set. Thank you.
Sorry, Lisa Roach.
Yeah, it's all right. It was a double Lisa. Both with you, double Lisas. Yeah. Okay, Nicola.
Yeah, brilliant. Just echoing what Charlotte said, really excited to get to using software now. Thank you,
All right.
Simone.
All right, that's brilliant. So, one thing to remember is that this they really care. Like the software company really cares. So you're stuck with something or you have a question. I think they were sick of me. Like in the first 2 weeks, because I loved it so much. I basically had call with about 4 of their staff members on the first week, and yeah, I was like an excited puppy. And I was like, I had calls with 4 of their staff member, and at least sending about 3 to 4 chat messages every day because I was just, oh, can you do this? Can I do this? Can I do that? And every interaction that I had with their team was better than the previous one. So you're stuck with anything. You're not sure. What they are offering also is a one-to-one demo that you can book. So you want to set up some things, you have some questions, even if you have the basic account or if you are on the free trial, they will spend time with you to help you set it up. So I've not seen any other company that does this. So that's why I want to support them. That's why I'm partnering up with them. And I think it's a perfect synergy. And ideally, I want all our clients to use it because it just, one, it simplifies my teaching instead of taking it by different scenarios. But 2, it's just the best. Like, there's nothing else to say. All right. With this, thanks again. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the next few days. I'll put a poll just to make sure that I want to have an idea about who is doing the challenge as well, who is doing the webinar in the next 14 to 20 days. So I just want to make a list of the names. And then definitely, if you have not booked your one-to-one call yet, make sure you book it. The link is has been sent by emails, by WhatsApp. So that's important because the calendar slot are filling up soon. And I know there are quite a few people that have not booked it yet. I think half already booked, half not. So make sure you do it. And I cannot wait to then wrap up the full process. All right. Have a great rest of the day. And until next time, remember that together we grow exponentially.
Simone, quick question for you.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you when they drop off about
Yeah, exactly. No, I knew I did. Thank you for staying on. I know it was supposed to be a bit
Thank you.
so